Chinese officials warned that Pelosi's arrival in Taiwan would prompt the Chinese army to launch an attack. The entire world was on the edge of their seats to see if this was the beginning of World War III. Of a chain of events that could lead to the CCP's demise. Chinese citizens are now doubting whether the current leaders have the courage to protect China's sovereignty. Outrage became so intense that the CCP had to block Chinese social media sites to prevent news from spreading. However, the CCP has been incompetent for years. It will invade, but in reality it never will. The Chinese military claimed that its military exercises near Taiwan were successful. Beijing has ended the exercises, but it is still planning to use force against Taiwan, according to a quote. Taiwan's defense ministry reports that 21 Chinese jet fighters have been spotted in the sky, conducting the largest ever military drills near Taiwan. Beijing has stated that it will not rule out using force to retake Taiwan, and rockets have been fired towards Taiwanese citizens on the street and even over the island for the first time. The history of China and Taiwan is lengthy, but in order to fully comprehend the CCP's relationship with Taiwan, it is necessary to first understand why China still regards Taiwan as a part of its territory. To speed things along, in the 1800s, Taiwan was a part of the Qing Empire, which effectively ruled over all of modern-day China. However, in 1895, Japanese forces invaded Taiwan and overthrew the Qing government in the First Sino-Japanese War. At the end of World War II, the ROC meets with the United States and the United Kingdom to discuss the return of Taiwan to the ROC. Winning, he established the People's Republic of China. I know came the CCP, and the old government, the ROC, fled mainland China and moved to Taiwan. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who subscribed and liked the video, and if you haven't already, please drop a like on this video too. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm to push the video to others to benefits. Although he was defeated, this was not the end of his plans. He had already begun planning a second invasion. This is when the United States intervened to prevent a non-communist government from falling to communism. China realized that if they wanted to be a superpower, they needed their own nuclear weapons because mutually assured destruction didn't work even when the threat of nuke stopped invasions. Congress passed legislation promising the United States support in the event that Taiwan is invaded. For a while, even the prospect of nuclear war didn't deter invasions, but Mao was never successful, and he passed away in 1976. China has repeatedly attempted to take over Taiwan but has failed spectacularly each time. I realized that although China today is much more powerful than it was in the 1900s, conquering Taiwan will not be a simple task. However, 11 Jinping is aware of this. After Mao's death, relations between the two countries began to improve slightly. Taiwan relaxed travel restrictions and declared in 1991 that the war with the CCP was over. China then proposed the so-called one country, two systems option, which it claimed would give Taiwan significant economic autonomy. This system underpinned Hong Kong's return to China in 1997 and the way it was governed until recently, when Beijing finally sought to increase its influence. Autonomy if it agrees to come under Beijing's control. That didn't go as planned in Hong Kong and Taiwan, who saw this coming and turned down the offer back then. Now this is when the CCP's headache just starts throbbing. Hong Kong was a British colony, but in 1997 Britain gave it back to China with conditions that it had to protect Hong Kong's autonomy, its independent courts, and its freedom of expression for at least 50 years. Taiwan had its first democratic elections in 1994 to choose its leaders, who would later reject democracy and the ability of Taiwanese citizens to vote. When Washington steps in to defend Taiwan as required by law, the US Navy deploys all of its largest and most technologically advanced ships, missiles, and jets. This was done to signal to China that a war with Taiwan would result in a conflict with the most powerful military in the world. The DPP party has been dubbed the pro-independence party, and when they are in power in Taiwan, China becomes more aggressive. In 2000, the first Taiwanese president openly supported independence, which scared the CCP, and they passed a new law, the Anti-Secession Law, stating China's right to use force against Taiwan if it attempted to secede from it, as if they hadn't already tried military action. The once every 10 years transfer of power in China was finished earlier today. Thanks for watching.